What is neoliberalism? Neoliberalism is an economic philosophy that conceptually describes a move towards free markets, capitalism, and a diversion from a government ownership. The typical policies associated with neoliberalism include free trade, globalization, privatization, and changes in government spending to stimulate the private sector. Characteristic of neoliberalism. Privatization. Privatization includes selling all state owned entities and businesses to the private sector. They can include banks, transportation services, utility companies, and health and educational institutes. The purpose is to normally achieve efficiency as the private sector is thought to be more effective when running businesses. However, it can also be argued that privatization typically results in the concentration of wealth in a few hands and makes such services more expensive to acquire, as the motive is of profitability and not the public good. Deregulation. Deregulation entails reducing government regulation on economic activities such as trade or imposing taxes on certain businesses. Deregulation will allow companies to become more profitable and improve the overall quality of running businesses. Free trade. Free markets are marked by globalization and greater openness towards investment and trade. With total freedom and the movement of capital between different geographies, economic growth is expected to occur, along with better and cheaper access to resources. However, opponents argue that such a move makes both labor union workers and unregulated markets may not be the most feasible option for some economists. Reducing public expenditure. Government expenditure is normally targeted towards the health and education sectors or towards building infrastructure. A reduction in public expenditure may cause the poor to suffer more as they will be able to access public healthcare and education services. It is up to the private sector how they manage these services and how accessible they are to the overall community. Elimination of the public good. A related concept to the previous point states that people are motivated to work towards their individual well being rather than think about society overall. In certain instances, neoliberalism eliminates welfare and social programs, which adversely impacts the poorest segment of the population.
Myths are sacred stories that explain natural phenomena such as the creation of Earth and our experiences associated with nature, life, and death. They also discuss subjects such as philosophy, prophecy, religion, anthropology, and ancient civilization. Every culture has its own myth about the origin of the world and about the evolution of mankind and various natural elements of the world. Elements of myths. Myth is a story of unknown authorship that people told a long ago in an attempt to answer the serious question about how important things began and occurred. Stories that explain natural occurrences and express belief of right and wrong. Myth uses to explain natural phenomena or an occurrence, to explain the creation of the world, to teach people moral lessons, to explain some historical event, to explain some ancient religion practices, to reveal the common hopes and fears of mankind. Characteristics of myths. Myths are early man's desire to explain the universe. Myths generally involve nature or the adventure of gods and goddesses and heroes. The gods, goddesses, and heroes are superhuman in nature. Gods sometimes appear in disguised form. Human emotions are experienced by the gods. Magic is often present in myths. Myths try to explain these natural events and the mysteries of nature. Myths, however, are not true, even though many myth tellers believe them. They have stories invented to make sense of the world, but they have no factual basis. Today, science provides us with factual answers to questions about nature and the world around us. When you study methodology, be open-minded and understand that myths are sacred to those who believe in them. For example, according to Greek mythology, Aphrodite is the goddess of love. A Greek person may believe in Aphrodite as strongly as you believe in love as a scientific fact. Therefore, your belief in love is as valid as Greeks' belief in Aphrodite. Although myths are not religious stories, some people believe them to be tales that are simply woven around events that may or may not have occurred. Vita Active, published by Hannah Arendt's account of how human activities should be and have been understood throughout Western history. Hannah is interested in the vita active or active life as contrasted with the vita contemplativa or contemplative life, and concerned that the debate over the relative status of the two has blinded us to important insights about the vita activa and the way in which it has changed since ancient times. She distinguishes three sorts of activity: the labor, work, and action, and discusses how they have been affected by changes in Western history. The Vita Activa. Hannah thinks that three Greek events determined the character of the modern age. First, the discovery of America and the ensuing exploration of the whole earth. Second is the Reformation, which by expropriating ecclesiastical and monastic positions started the twofold process of individual expropriation and the accumulation of social wealth. The third is the invention of the telescope and the development of a new science that considers the nature of the earth from the viewpoint of the universe. None of these events could have been foreseen. They happened suddenly and had repercussions their instigators never intended. One effect of each of these events is to increase our alienation from the world, which Hannah thinks is far more characteristic of our age than alienation from the self.